And let's begin with breaking news coming in. Bangladesh now in an official statement has sought the handover of Sheikh Hasina, referring to the extradition treaty between India and Bangladesh. The Yunus government has said India must go ahead and extradite Sheikh Hasina. Remember that the former Bangladesh Prime Minister is currently based in Delhi at an unknown location. And it's based on that Dhaka has now issued a statement citing the extradition treaty and pushing for India to hand over Sheikh Hasina. Now, so far, the MEA has issued a statement. While they haven't responded to what Bangladesh has said, they've taken note of the death sentence, the death penalty for Sheikh Hasina. And here's what the MEA has said. As a close neighbor, India remains committed to the best interests of the people of Bangladesh, including in peace, democracy, inclusion and stability. We will always engage constructively with all stakeholders to that end. So that is the only statement that's come in so far from India. I want to bring in our Foreign Affairs Editor, Geeta Mohan. Also with us is Indrajit Kundu, who's been tracking all the updates on this. Geeta, I'd like to begin with you on really what this means. The fact that we have an extradition treaty between India and Bangladesh, does that mean India is now obligated to hand over Sheikh Hasina?
Well, there is an extradition treaty, yes. There will be, the Bangladeshi administration will look at the obligatory angle to the treaty. But for now, this is also a political leader who fled the country in a very, very difficult time. And also the violence that followed the protests is something that, both sides, whether it's Awami League or for that matter, the Yunus regime have been questioning in terms of intent, who was involved, how did all this happen. So for India, it is a very, very sensitive issue, and therefore you can see, Akshita, the statement is also very carefully drafted. They're not committing to an extradition. They're also not committing to not engaging stakeholders, which include the current regime in Bangladesh. Having said that, Sheikh Hasina has already said that they're an unelected government, and this is not this is a biased trial, and it was not fair. It was not done fairly. So the Indian administration has a few options. One is that they can engage Bangladesh, they can engage Dhaka on ensuring that there is no death sentence. Else, sending her would mean India would be losing Bangladesh completely, because BNP, pro-Pakistan, Jamaat-e-Islami, pro-Pakistan, and Awami League, that has always been a friend of India. India will lose all stakes in Bangladesh should they decide to send Sheikh Hasina, who has a death sentence or death penalty against her in Dhaka. The other option that the Indian administration was considering in the past, according to sources, reports that we've seen, was getting her to a third country that does not have an extradition treaty with Bangladesh, has influence over Bangladesh, and may not be very akin to sending or repatriating her to Dhaka. So that's another option. But for now, it doesn't seem like India is going to extradite Sheikh Hasina anytime soon. We'll have to wait and see how the diplomacy plays out over here.
Okay, thanks, Geeta, for those details. I'll bring in Indrajit Kundu also for more on this. Indrajit, in the face of it, from what Geeta tells us, an extradition treaty doesn't immediately, equal Hasina's handover, or the fact that she will immediately be moved back to Bangladesh. So in such a circumstance, what really is the Yunus government planning to do?
Well, this is as much playing to the political gallery. Remember, Sheikh Hasina remains a sore thumb as far as Indo-Bangladesh relationship at this point in time is concerned. For the Yunus government, given the prevailing situation on the ground, the sentiments on the ground, it doesn't have much of an option but to continuously remind India that Sheikh Hasina is a political fugitive, that she has now been indicted by a sovereign court in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a sovereign country, and therefore law must take its own course. But the issue here, of course, is that even though India and Bangladesh does have an extradition treaty, what is Sheikh Hasina's status in India? Is she on a political asylum? That's not very clear. Indian government hasn't clarified that in the past 1 year since Sheikh Hasina was given shelter here. Is it a temporary shelter? Is it an official political asylum? These are things that will have to be spoken out. The statement crafted by the Ministry of External Affairs is very, very cautious. It calls about, friendly relationships with Bangladesh. One really doesn't have much of an option beyond that, it seems. And therefore, the Indian establishment is looking at the flux in Bangladesh very, very closely. Within 2 to 3 months' time, in February next year, Bangladesh is supposed to have a general election at that point in time. So in that backdrop, where the Awami League clearly is not going to be able to participate because they have been banned, so India will have to, take every step very, very carefully.
All right. Thanks, Indrajit, for getting us all of those details.